Yes, now ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Rant YouTube channel. I'm not only back from my travels, but I am recovered from my travels. Obviously, I went to London to witness Post Malone and Jelly Roll live. It was the best thing I've ever been to, genuinely. It was better than going to London and watch SmackDown, and that takes a lot, because that was crazy to be there. But I think the whole experience was out of this world. And when I came back from London, I'd caught germs in London, maybe on the tubes, maybe at the concert, I don't know, but I wasn't feeling good. But I'm better today, and it's about time I make WrestlePalooza reactions, because it is days removed. It happened on Saturday night, it is Wednesday, so yeah, and I still need to watch Monday Night Raw and do the same for Raw and NXT, so let's just get this underway. WrestlePalooza. Let's address what I predicted, what I wanted, and what actually happened. What I said in my predictions for the opening match, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, which we knew was going to happen, and I was quite surprised it was the opening one, but I'd take it. That's a good opening match, and I did want John Cena to win. I just thought, like, it really doesn't matter who won this match. There's nothing at stake. There's nothing on the line. And with it being Cena's retirement tour in his last 6 appearances, I wanted Cena to win. And I thought Cena would. I felt like the way they were building the story, Brock coming along, destroying everyone, being a bully, and John Cena trying to overcome him, I felt like there was nothing in it for Brock to beat Brock Lesnar besides making Brock look good. And that's exactly what happened. Brock looked good. I got my prediction wrong, and Brock beat John Cena, which again, I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm just like, you know, it is what it is. I'm not shocked by it. That could have went either way, and it was fine. What I didn't like is I don't get what the point of this match was, because John Cena didn't get a lot of offense in. It's like they were trying to replicate 2014 SummerSlam, but they weren't at the same time, because he didn't decimate John Cena, but he did hit him with about 6 F5s and pinned him. I wasn't quite sure what they were trying to do, whether they were trying to get Brock to look good and destroy John Cena, because I don't know if it's going anywhere. I've not seen Raw or NXT yet, but I've tuned in on Instagram and seen that AJ Styles and John Cena are going to get it on, which I'm excited about. I can't wait to talk about when I finally watch Raw. But again, I just don't know what the point is for that. Was it just a fun match? Was it to get a match like that on ESPN? Your first time on ESPN, and the WWE's been addressing John Cena as the greatest of all time in the last year, and they're making him look bad like that. It really does make sense to me. So Owen won the predictions. It is what it is. I'm not mad Brock Lesnar won by any shot. I'm just confused more than anything. But anyways, second match out, the Usos versus Braun and Bronson Reed. What I wanted to happen was the Usos winning, and what I predicted happening was Braun and Bronson winning, and that's exactly what happened. You know, it was a decent match. I mean, we all know these lot are botching a bit now. Like, Jay and Jimmy are getting a bit over the hill, and well, Braun and Bronson don't really botch in the ring. They're just, obviously, they're not at that level yet. So we expected some botches, but LA Knight all of a sudden was a special guest referee, which I don't know where they pulled that from, because they didn't tell us that beforehand, but he is a special guest referee. And he let the rules go, and he let them use weapons. And at first, he was kind of on the Usos' side. He was like, look, only the Usos are going to use the weapons. He'd tell Braun and Bronson off, but he wouldn't tell the Usos off. Until, obviously, Jey Uso and LA Knight got into a bit of an argument, and then it was free game. And the ending, I didn't mind how it ended, but there was a bit in the ending I didn't like. It was the double spear through the table. While it's a cool spot, WWE aren't going to try and do spots, like, or even if they're missing spots, if they can't pull it off properly, right? And I get spearing 2 people, both Usos through the table for Braun break, that would be great. But when they're both, they didn't really get speared through the table, they just kind of got tackled through the table, like both men stumbled back and fell on it. It didn't look good, in my opinion. But then to have the tsunami and pin Jey Uso, fair enough. To pin Jey Uso is mad, by the way, given that they're trying to build Jey Uso as the main guy, but it makes sense in a way, because Braun and Bronson are against them, LA Knight's against them, and maybe they've been planting seeds for him and Jimmy not working, and it also does just put Braun and Bronson over, so that makes sense. And on the topic of division and Paul Heyman, obviously on SmackDown, Brock said we need to talk, and I said, oh, I wonder where that's going. Paul Heyman introduced Brock Lesnar on the mic. He was his ring announcer. Now, what I really hope doesn't happen is that this was just an OMG moment. This was just a moment for clicks, right? Because are we forgetting how Brock and Paul ended? Like, Paul Heyman betrayed Brock Lesnar. Not only betrayed him, manipulated him, played him to make him think he was with him, just to turn on him for Roman Reigns. And Brock is a guy that if you just look at him wrong, he will destroy you. So how is he not going to hold a grudge and destroy Paul Heyman after the last time you see him, he turned on him? That didn't really make sense. That there was no forgiveness there. He just, yeah, whatever. So I'm hoping Paul announcing Brock means something, because obviously he's got the whole thing going on with the Vision. And it just wouldn't make sense if it was just random. Maybe Brock has something to do with the Vision. I don't know, but I want to know. I want something to come of it, because, like, why are we just doing it randomly? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't like. Like, if you're going to do a moment like that, at least make it mean something. Have a reason for it, do you know what I mean? But it's whatever. That's just little nitpicky things, right? So, first two matches, it was alright. It was typical WWE stuff. I was fine with it. The third match, the middle match, Stephanie Vakaya, Io Sky for the Women's World title, in my opinion, should have been the main event. Why? Because it was match of the night. And you're probably thinking, how's it match of the night? You know, there was no, like, OMG moments. There wasn't. It was not, you know, the big star Cody Rhodes or the big star John Cena or Brock Lesnar. But my God, they put on a great match. I mean, Stephanie Vakaya and Io Sky, to start off with the technical slow chain wrestling, and moved on to the high-flying spots and the crazy spots. You know what's great about Io Sky and Stephanie Vakaya? They're so diverse as wrestlers. Like, they can chain wrestle, like actually wrestle. They can high-fly. They can do some power moves if they want to. They've got great chemistry. They're fantastic in the ring, and it was the best match of the night. And I think this is perfect, really, for ESPN, because not that ESPN really changes anything, but it might bring some more fans, maybe. And I think it's a good way to look at it, because they brought the actual wrestling element to it. And Stephanie Vakaya winning that belt was the right thing, because it made it look like a feel-good moment. I mean, I wanted Stephanie to win, and I believed she would. And the only thing that I didn't predict right was that I thought Asuka and Kairi would have something to do with Io losing, but she didn't. She just lost clean. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You know, big stars can lose. Faces can beat faces. Stephanie won the title, and I'm happy for it. And looking back, I get it. And looking at it beforehand, you might not think, like, looking at the card on paper, Stephanie and Io shouldn't be the main event. I agree. Looking back in hindsight at what the matches actually were, Stephanie and Io should have definitely been the main event. That was a hell of a match. Definitely a great match. Definitely want to say it. And I said it for ages. I needed that Stephanie Vakaya, Io Sky banger. And I needed Stephanie to win, and my dreams came true. That happened. I am happy. If WrestlePalooza was just that one match, which I believe it could have very well been, I would have loved it. The next match was the mixed tag match. It was CM Punk, AJ Lee versus Seth and Becky. Now, in terms of entertainment, the match was entertaining. In terms of in-ring moments, it's not the greatest, but I'm not going to be too critical of it, because obviously the main spotlight was on AJ Lee coming back. And obviously she's going to have some ring rust, so I'm not even going to entertain criticising it. It did its job. And AJ and Punk won, which is what I wanted and what I thought was the right thing to do. Because it sets up future matches. I mean, we could get AJ Becky for the Intercontinental title, and we could get Punk Rollins eventually one-on-one for the world title. And that's exactly what I've been wanting. But what I'm surprised by is Becky tapping to AJ Lee. I would have thought they would have had CM Punk pin Seth Rollins, take their chance to have CM Punk pin Seth Rollins without taking the world title. That's what I thought would have happened, but it wasn't. But it's fine. I'm not mad at it. It did its job. I just think if a new viewer who's a constant sports fan and watches ESPN looked at that match, they'd be a bit confused about the hype of it, and that's fine, but they're never always going to get it, and we can't base our opinion off what the casuals think. We are the ones who understand wrestling. It's important to us, not to them. As them, they're an extra, but it did its job, like I said. And then we had a little announcement where Undertaker came out and announced Stephanie McMahon as the first Hall of Famer in the Hall of Fame class of 2026. Originally, I'm like, why are we doing this in September? Like, we are closer to the previous class than we are to the next class. Like, we are still 2/4 of a year away. No, that doesn't make sense. 2/3 of a year away from the next class of the Hall of Fame. I thought it really doesn't make sense. But then I thought about it, and they're on ESPN, and they want to promote the Hall of Fame, and they want to show that like these other sports, and they have special procedures, moments like that. And I like that Stephanie's the lead one. First of all, I like that she's a lead because she's been that much of an important character in WWE throughout her lifetime. And obviously, Triple H being last year, and I believe Stephanie inducted him, or maybe it was Shawn Michaels did, which is crazy, by the way. And now Stephanie's next year, which Triple H obviously should induct her. If not Triple H, Vince, but Vince, it's not happening. It's Triple H, right? I'm happy with that. But another thing that tells me is that I thought by the end of this retirement tour, WWE would stick John Cena right in the Hall of Fame straight away. They haven't done that. And maybe they will, but I don't see it happening now that Stephanie McMahon, I'm so used to saying Vaquer. Now that Stephanie McMahon is the lead inductee. So, and I'm not mad about it. John Cena's got plenty of years he can go in there. I'm surprised by some people who aren't in there, like The Rock. Like, that's crazy to me. But yeah, that was a nice little announcement to see. Let's get on to the main event. Now, again, I was confused why this was the main event, but I was a bit on the fence about it because I can see why they've put it as the main event. It's the WWE Championship match. Their lead champion, Cody Rhodes, they want him at the main event, and that makes sense. If someone is a world champion, and especially the champion of the company, they should be in the main event. They should always be main eventing. But at the same time, if you're going to have a main event on a card full of lots of big matches, why is it the main event if it's had the least build-up? Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky had a better build-up than Cody and Drew, and I get it. Cody and Drew still did have somewhat of a build-up, but it was all carried by Drew, and Cody wasn't there, and it wasn't the main focus. So that's why I was a bit like, I don't see why it's a main event. So I agree that it should have been, it's a rightful main event. I just think it should have been executed better. So in future, when we're going to have world champions, let's focus on their story. Let's build it better, because I think ESPN themselves were confused why it was the main event. I mean, ESPN, being ESPN, a sports brand, I know WWE and ESPN led this as sport is entertainment and it's all going to be one thing, but they ranked it or rated it or reviewed it as they would for any other sporting event. And I believe they've given a better critical view of something that isn't a sport than other sporting industries would. And I agree with them. You know, they gave it a grade C, and I agree. For something that's supposed to be such a marquee event, such a milestone event, it was very lackluster. And given that the matches on paper were huge, I mean, the smallest match on there was the Usos versus the Vision, and that's been a feud for time. Like, that's been a feud for months. We're talking, like, since WrestleMania. 5 months of feud, and that's the smallest match on the card. We had Brock Lesnar, John Cena. We had Stephanie Io for the vacant world title, like, guaranteed new world champion. We had CM Punk and AJ Lee teaming against Seth and Becky. When, if this was 2 years ago, did you ever think that was possible? Exactly. Cody versus Drew for the WWE title. Like, I agree with their grading on it with grade C. They said, you know, they basically said Stephanie Io was the only good thing, and, like, not the only good thing, but, like, it was the best thing, which absolutely was, because it was a great in-ring show. And then they said there was too many of matches that ended that were trying to build new stories, such as Brock and Cena, but I don't see how that was building a new story. That's why I'm confused by it. And they also said Cody and Drew was a bit short, and I agree, it was only a 20-minute match, but I don't think that's a problem. I don't think it should be predictable that mid-card matches are shorter than main event matches. It looks, you know, we all know it's scripted, but we still want to have that feel of legitimacy, and it doesn't bring legitimacy when you can guarantee, oh, by the way, the main event match is going to last longer than the other ones. Like, that shouldn't be how it is. It should look like a competitive thing that can end at any time if someone hits some devastating move. Do you know what I mean? We shouldn't have to expect a finish. It should just come, and then we'll be like, there it is. Do you know what I mean? It could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. That's what I want to see, and I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with how short it was, because, you know, that event was quite boring. I'll be honest. It genuinely was, and I was glad to see the end of it. But let's talk about the actual match. I wanted Drew to win the title, but I knew Cody was going to retain, and that's fine, because Cody's only been the champion since SummerSlam, 1 month, and this was his first defense I do agree it would be wrong for him to lose a title. I'm just rooting for Drew to be the one to take it off of Cody. And I don't think this is the end of it. Drew can absolutely take it off of Cody down the line. And actually, after watching this match, I am more confident that that will happen. Why? Because since Cody came back from his injury, in this match, he kept hesitating. He was thinking wrong. And the commentators were pointing out how Cody wasn't acting normal, and he was slower than usual, and he was, he looked heavier, by the way. The guy's been putting on weight. And it's all to do with that head injury that Drew McIntyre caused, and it was messing him up. And Drew McIntyre was doing good, and he had a great chance at winning the match. It was the referee getting in the way of Drew McIntyre, such as when Drew tried to put his head through the table again. He wasn't going to do it on SmackDown because he wanted Cody to make it to the match so he could guarantee the WWE Championship. But he was going to do it in the match so he could guarantee he could beat him. But the referee stopped him and got in the way. And that led to Cody being able to move, Drew hurting his leg, referee still getting in his way, such as with the turnbuckle. Cody was able to dodge out of the way. Drew got hit with the turnbuckle. Cody was lucky to be in the position he was, that the stars aligned for him, and Drew won. I mean, he was able to beat Drew. And obviously this is going to lead on to the story down the line. Cody's going to still be affected by his injury, and Drew is smart and he's going to take advantage of it. He's going to take advantage of the fact that the referee cost him, and he's going to get a rematch. And somewhere down the line, this injury is going to cause Cody Rhodes to lose his title, hopefully to Drew McIntyre, and that's what I want in the long run. And I've got something else cooking in my brain from that, is that this brain injury, is it going to affect his character? Are we actually going to get heel Cody Rhodes? Because I am here for it. I love Cody Rhodes. I love the way WWE have booked him. But I do think the babyface, like I Love Everyone, is getting old. And if you look back at what Drew McIntyre was saying to Cody Rhodes at the contract signing about him sucking up to people all the time, it's kind of foreshadowing what this injury that Drew McIntyre has caused is what it's going to do to Cody Rhodes. And it was all Drew McIntyre's plan all along, because he is a smart guy. Drew McIntyre is so underrated. Even though he's up there in the main event, he's still underrated. It's crazy. But anyway, that's my reaction. I predicted 4 out of 5 matches correct. Wouldn't say I was happy with the event. Let's not do WrestlePalooza again. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.